kwentuhan, tawanan, pakikipanayam, may drama pa. Kasama ang Pamilya Radyo. At habang kayo ay nanananghalian, sasaluhan naman kayo ni na Wedge Kudyamat at Gianna Llanes sa paghahatid ng mga balita sa mata ng Agila sa tanghali. Hindi dapat mahuli sa latest news and events here and abroad. Kapag alas 12:30 ng tanghali, samahan ang broadcast awardee na si Mr. Ray Langit sa makabuluhang komentaryo, pagbabalita at public service. Kasama si JR Langit, kasangga mo ang langit. What more can you ask for?
Sumapit na ang oras ng programang Radyo Agila sa Amerika. At syempre pa, ako po ang inyong makakapiling, syempre, si Don Orozco mula po rito sa Silicon Valley sa California. At sa mga nais, of course, for those who wanted to see how cute I am, di ba? Ay, go on our Facebook and YouTube Live on Radio Agila. And sa hapon pong ito, ang ating pong makakapiling ay isang, sabi nga natin, ay kilalang kilala ng Filipino community dito po sa California. Di ba? At alam mo, hindi mo itatanong, hindi mo natatanong ito po ay napakaraming mga activities na ginagawa rito. At if I am not mistaken, pumasok rin siya sa larangan ng politika po dito, no? At yan ang mga pag-uusapan natin at yung pang kanyang ibang mga proyekto katulad nung Alchemy Ventures LLC. Hindi na natin patatagalin ang atin pong bisita ay it would be very hard for me to interview her because she speaks English but understands Tagalog. Anyway, ang atin pong bisita ay si Miss Christina Laskowski. Siya po ay founder, no? Founder ng Stock Silicon Valley. Ayan. Hello and welcome, Christina.
Thank you. Salamat. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.
Ayun. Hanggang doon na lang yon, di ba? Hanggang doon na lang po yung Tagalog niya. Yung hello, thank you, maraming salamat. Anyway, Christina, I just wanted to, well, normally, I hope I was right in my introduction that you yourself was actually went into politics. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Okay.
You are correct. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. But we'll dwell on that later. We'll probably talk about first. We'll talk about first your journey, because you know a lot of us here, we know that the United States of America is a country of immigrants. And both of us are immigrants here, diba? And we're trying to be successful in our own rights. And it's a good thing that you are one of the success story for the Filipino community. That is why I've been trying to get a hold of you and have you for an interview. And finally, we are on. Right, Christina?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted you to share our audience your immigration story. kailan ka ba nakarating dito? At ikaw ba'y pinanganak dito? Yung bang parents mo? So, share us
Mhm.
your inspiring story, Christina.
Sure, sure. So actually, dito ko pinanganak sa Oakland, California. So I was born in
Okay.
Oakland. I
Mhm.
was born in Oakland, pero reverse immigrant naman ako because when I was 9, lumipat kami sa Pilipinas. So my dad retired from the Navy. My mom was a nurse, which is typical. So both of my parents were immigrants here, and in the 70s decided to have the whole family visit. Nagbisita kami doon sa Pilipinas, sa Davao, kasi taga Davao yung nanay ko. And that is where I went to partially elementary school sa Ateneo. So I
Okay.
attended Ateneo de Davao, elementary and high school. Tapos bumalik ako dito for fourth year and college. So sa University of San Francisco ako natapos ng kolehiyo in
Okay.
finance.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay. And then from after graduating, I worked in retail and I was hired at a boutique investment bank called Hambrecht and Quist. So
Mhm.
it's an investment bank that raises money for emerging growth companies. At that time, medyo risk averse yung mga investors. Yung mga bangko medyo alanganin to help young companies grow. But there were four banks sa San Francisco that were risk takers.
Mhm.
They were referred to as the four horsemen, and Hambrecht and Quist was one. And I was very fortunate to be hired at
Uh-huh.
Hambrecht and Quist. And actually, I started as an assistant in research and was promoted 3 times and became a research associate and started covering emerging growth companies in consumer. So the finance piece is important because I learned um, how to analyze companies, how to what do you call it? Perform due diligence, what to look for in terms of what are risks, what are opportunities with certain companies. And I was in the business for 16 years. And so all of that knowledge and experience helped when I started becoming active with a nonprofit, Stack Silicon Valley. So when I started my career in investment banking, it was also the time when I was invited to join the board of the Science and Technology Advisory Council. So actually, STAC was founded by Dado Banatao
Okay.
and the Department of Foreign Affairs. So Poch Macaranas, who's with the Department of Foreign Affairs, was there. They were looking for um, a way to tap into talent all around the world, Filipino talent, to help the Philippines grow, economically develop through science and technology.
Ayun. So, just a quick comeback on your story, you know. So you
Mhm.
actually were schooled in Ateneo de Davao, right?
Yes. Yes.
Was that the main motivation? That's why you went into what you are now, like
Yeah.
in the finance sector?
So actually, living in the Philippines
Mm-hmm.
motivated me to do things to help the Philippines, but also, yes, I think in part, finance. My first choice actually was pre-med, and then I
Okay.
shifted into finance because I enjoyed working and I enjoyed the area of finance and money. So it was my own personal interest. I transitioned into finance, and
Uh-huh.
it was also recommended by my guidance counselor at the time when I was looking, because originally I thought international business would be my major, and my
Uh-huh.
guidance counselor actually gave me great advice. He said, you can do international business anywhere, but fundamentally, you should probably think about accounting or finance. And so I chose finance as my major.
Okay. So, Um, I'm sorry. So, in other words, it was never in your mind to be in a regular branch banking, 'di ba? Kasi
No.
normally when we talk about finance,
Mhm.
what the normal understanding is that for people to be working in a regular bank,
Right.
like the deposit, the withdrawal,
Oh.
and the
Mhm.
investments is mga time deposits, di ba, mga CD dito sa atin,
Mhm.
and so on and so forth. It has never your interest. Bakit ano ang what was the reason why it actually you focused on like what you did itong actually parang venture capitalist di ba?
To a certain extent, oh, kasi I was very interested in how companies were built.
Okay.
What drove companies? How could you help a company grow, strategy, etc. And you learn a lot of that in investment banking because
Uh-huh.
the main goal is for you to help companies grow and scale. And you do that by raising money from investors. Most of
Mhm.
our investors were institutional investors, but most of our clients also were venture capitalists because the venture capitalists invest in the companies. And when the companies grow to a certain level, that's when the investment bankers come and help raise more money in the capital markets, which is the public markets when you go
Uh,
public.
oh, okay. Uh-huh. And so when you went back here in the US, that is where you actually found your calling. Like, uh,
Actually, my
mhm,
call. So here's the thing. I teach a class at
uh-huh,
USF, and I tell my students it wasn't a straight line. My ano talaga ng Diyos. Like God has a plan for each of us.
okay,
When I left the Philippines, I told myself I'm going to help the Philippines. I don't know how, but when I am older, I'm going to help.
uh-huh,
And what ended up happening is I my career, I was able to build a career in finance, work with, and then also I transitioned into helping startups and founders, etc. And that learning was what I was able to take back to the Philippines and contribute to growth because what I really wanted to see was a country that was leveraging its own talent. Marami tayong matatalino sa Pilipinas, right? And
uh-huh,
there are so many Filipinos who are very smart and talented, who have creative ideas, and many of them leave the country. And so other countries benefit from that. Ang ginagawa ko, what I wanted was the reverse. Stay in the country, build in the country, and contribute to the country, which is why what I learned in finance really helped prepare me for the kind of work I could do to help the country.
mhm, exactly. So,
Mhm.
so, what was the motivation then? Kasi, alam mo, it is very hard for Filipinos like most of us, uh, it is something that the Koreans were actually telling us. The Korean people when they were told by the government to go and explore the world and uh, learn from what the other countries are doing, but come back. Sa Pilipinas, ang problema, there's very few who actually went back. What made you feel like extending the help, considering that you were actually born in the US?
Yeah, so ang kulang, so the what I observed, why I wanted to go back is I wanted to share my own learnings of what worked, right? Best practices. What would it take to have an ecosystem grow and develop, startup like the startup ecosystem or the entrepreneurial ecosystem? It's really entrepreneurship, right? What
Uh-huh.
I was promoting was entrepreneurship, self-sufficiency, creativity converted into, new business. And what motivated me to do the work is that I could see the country needed help. The
Mhm.
infrastructure wasn't there. Yung mga yung mga nasa gobyerno, they don't know a lot about entrepreneurship, innovation, technology, science. And so my approach was, let's partner with the government and help them using
Mhm.
our knowledge and strength, ours as the members of Stack Silicon Valley. So that's why we actually signed an MOA, a memo of agreement, right, with
Mhm.
DTI, the Department of Trade and Industry, with the Department of Science and Technology, and then the Department of Foreign Affairs, and where we said that we will work with them to help
Mhm.
them. And in some cases, we were also helping educate them. Why is this important? How can this be done? What are some of the things the government can do to support the growth of entrepreneurship in the country? So, yung nagmamotivate sa akin is that dito, even the governments here, many people who are in government offices, etc., some of them do not have business or entrepreneurship experience. And so it really helps to have the private sector come in and partner so we can help them see what they don't see or share knowledge that they don't have. Right.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was really what motivated me. And that's why we did a lot of work just to build the framework of the ecosystem. But
Uh-huh.
again, in partnership and collaboration with both private and public partners in the Philippines, because we
Uh-huh.
really have to work together. And that also
Mhm.
was one of my things, is that ang napapansin ko is like a lot of people would do things in silos. Sila
Uh-huh.
dito, sila doon. But
Uh-huh.
really, to make things work, we have to be one. We have to work
Exactly.
together
Mhm.
for it to work. Mhm.
Alam mo, yan ang mahirap sa atin eh, 'di ba? Sa mga Filipinos, yung sinabi mong we have to be one. That is actually the main problem. Like for instance, when one everyone wants to be a leader. Buti nga, you were actually trained by, you mentioned earlier, you were actually under the training of Dado Banataw, di ba? He is such a great leader, di ba? And I actually admire him. We were actually like together like a couple of months ago and medyo nakakagulat lang yung kanyang sitwasyon.
Mhm.
But anyway, itong stock, no? Itong stock, papaano siya nakaka-relate sa mga Filipino communities? Ikaw ba ay nakatutulong din dun sa mga startups, dun sa mga nandito sa Amerika o ang focus mo lang ay nandun sa Pilipinas?
So originally, yung nasa Pilipinas lang. And what
Okay.
happened was the community here found out about Stack's work in the Philippines, and most of us are from here. So
Okay.
that transitioned to there was one session at Berkeley in 2015 where we were asked to help the PhilAms naman. So we've extended it to help PhilAms, and not only that, but also to partner with other groups like ours that are focused on Southeast Asia, because what we're trying to do is build a bridge. There are Filipino American companies here that
Uh-huh.
also want to have part of their business in the Philippines. And then you
Mhm.
have startups in the Philippines that want to raise money or have application here. So Stack really serves as a bridge for both the Philippines and the US, Silicon
Uh-huh.
Valley in particular. So in fact, there's one company here, um, a chocolate company that sources its chocolate and sugar and most of its uh, uh, the ingredients for the chocolate from the Philippines.
Uh-huh.
So Davao is a very, it's a producer of refined chocolate. So I connected the company with my connections in Davao to see if there's a way to build, a tighter collaboration with the cacao community and the chocolate
Okay.
company here.
Mhm.
And because they're looking to grow,
Uh-huh.
their chocolate actually, it's really, really good chocolate.
I
And it's
agree.
one way that we're helping, right?
Mhm.
So the coconut sugar from the Philippines, cacao from the Philippines, the infused flavors, they use mangga, siling labuyo, asin from Pangasinan. They infuse it in their chocolate, and so that's one way that we can help. They start the business here. They want to
Mhm.
sell their chocolates here, and the ingredients naman are from the Philippines, right? And
Ah,
so that's one way we can help certain companies is providing that bridge, connecting them to the right partners in the Philippines, and then in the Philippines also finding the right partners here sa
ah,
US.
ayun. So, alam mo,
Mhm.
ngayon pa lang ay kino-congratulate na kita, 'di ba? Because of your sabi nga natin ay yung iyong desire really to help Phil-Ams and Filipinos dito sa Pilipinas, di ba? And recently, you even had an event, di ba? Yung kasama si, I forgot his name, si Campos. I
Oh,
think that
yes,
it
yes.
is
Oh, you mean
something,
with Kaya Founders?
yeah,
With
Kaya
Paulo?
Founders.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Kaya
Kaya Founders.
Founders. Mhm.
Yeah, I was just told about that. Uh, were you the ones who organized that? And then para sa kaalaman ng ating audience, can you just expound on
So,
that,
yeah,
Kaya?
sure. So,
Because
so
again,
we
uh,
haven't. Yes. So Stack helped co-organize.
uh-huh,
Kendrick Ko is our new president. We elected him in January. I am now the chair of Stack. And
okay,
Kendrick knew Paulo, and Paulo and invited Paulo to speak because we were invited by Professor Dasher of
uh,
Stanford University,
let me
who is the
stop you,
director of the U.S. I'm
Let me
sorry.
just stop you. Sorry Christina. Si Paulo
Oh,
na binabanggit natin para malaman ng ating mga nanonood o yung mga nakikinig kasi again, we are all over sa Philippines, no? On Radio Agila. Si Paulo Campos is Filipino, right?
yes.
Yan,
Yes.
no, 'di ba?
Mm,
Oh,
mm-mm.
para malaman nila kung gaano kagaling ang mga Pinoy. Okay. So,
Hindi
pero
ka mga
siguro
Pinoy.
pero teka, bago natin ituloy, napansin ko ay 9:30 na sa atin. So, we have to pause and magpapakilala lang yung ating station. So, we will be back with Christina Laskowski. Sandali po lamang. Oops. No. Nasa na si nasa na yung ating tech? Okay. Tech guy? Okay. Tuloy natin. Nawala siya. Okay. Normally kasi pagdating ng 30, 'di ba? But anyway, let's go on and explain the Kaya Founders.
Okay, so Kaya founders, they started a fund in the Philippines, a
Okay.
fund basically an investment fund to
Okay.
invest in Filipino companies. So they were here to talk about their initiative. They had one session in May and they had a follow-up session a few weeks ago because they were going to LA and here and other cities to share what are some of the examples of companies being founded in the Philippines that they are investing in. So we have companies, startups in the Philippines,
Mhm.
worth investing that we have investors investing in. Konti pa lang yung mga investors, but still, we do have investors and we also have international investors who are looking to invest in some of our companies. So we've seen a very significant change since when we started the program. We started our efforts in 2010. At
Mhm.
that time, zero yung mga investment funds, okay? As
Okay.
of last year, December 2023, already 1 billion US dollars has been invested in Filipino startups.
And when you say $1 billion invested in Filipino startups, mga nasa Philippine business yan.
Mga nasa Pilipinas. Yes.
Nasa Pilipinas, di ba?
Oo.
Ano ang,
Oo.
yan, kasi, ano ang parang nagiging sourcing of funds nito? Ito bang Kaya ang nag-create nito o ipaki-explain mo nga pa paano
Yeah, sure. When we
makaka-avail?
so one of the things that we did with Stack is we introduced a lot of our startups because the work that we did is we wanted to see what startups were in the Philippines back in 2011.
Okay.
And it was very difficult to find startups. So we had a competition. And what we did is we started to invite international investors to the Philippines.
Okay.
But so they could see the kinds of companies. And yung ano naman namin, yung isang board member namin, si Jojo Flores, our VP, nasa Pilipinas din siya. He moved back in 2012. Co-founder siya ng isang accelerator, plug and play tech
Plug and play,
center,
sa Sunnyvale.
which has now
Mhm.
grown in Asia. And in fact, last month, Plug and Play just signed an agreement with I think DICT and DTI, right?
Okay.
So they just signed an agreement, and Jojo Flores, who's there in the Philippines, is the one who helped spearhead that because there's an opportunity to now convert our BPO services to higher value added opportunities, right? We have a lot of talent in the Philippines. What we're trying to do now is be very focused in terms of ano ba yung areas na may specialty tayo that we can still refine and increase the value, right? Increase the value of services. That's our focus now with Stack.
Alam mo, Christina, ang Philippines kasi, and for everyone knows, is the best source for labor. Di ba? Yan lagi ang ating parang nagiging specialty eh. Ang ini-import natin tao. Kaya pati yung talent, dala-dala na, ang problema, hindi nga ibinabalik. But itong ginagawa mo, halimbawa, katulad ditong plug and play ng Sunnyvale, di ba? Did that originate from the Philippines o ang konsepto ba niyan happened in the US? Or ano yung company na masasabi mo na nag-umpisa sa startup from the Philippines which actually has blown up?
A startup here. We have most of the startups that have grown and started in the Philippines are still in the Philippines, right?
Okay.
So that's another thing that we're trying to work on is global. We have founders from the Philippines. We have many founders from the Philippines who've been able or who are Filipino, who have been successful in raising funds, in selling their company here, in starting companies here in the US. And most of them, or many of them, have been educated also in the Philippines, which is why this is also a passion project for me because we have a very good education system. The only gap is commercializing or converting our knowledge into global business opportunities, right? Kasi marami tayong talent. So in fact, I helped one startup launch. It's called Liveritas Biosciences, right?
Okay.
It's a biotech company. It helps accelerate drug development kasi mahaba yung proseso ng drug development, right? This will reduce the drug development process, reduces the cost. Yung founder is an alum of Manila Science High School. Okay. She also went to Ateneo. Then she got her PhD at UC Davis. She worked for a number of biotech companies here, became a senior scientist at a startup called StemCentrix. StemCentrix was acquired by AbbVie for
Mhm.
billions of dollars. And then she co-founded another startup, Interven, and then left and founded Libertas. That's just one example of a Filipina who was educated in the Philippines, worked here and was able to help other companies grow and then start her own startup here.
And you were
They
telling
we
me,
mhm,
Christina, that she was
mhm.
able to sell yung una for about 4 billion. And are you talking
She
about
was part of
dollars
that. She
or
was part of the
peso?
company. Oo.
Yeah. Was that in dollars or in peso?
Dollars.
Oh, 4
Dollars.
billion?
Yeah. 4 billion. Yeah. So it was. I can't remember what the exact number was, but AbbVie bought StemCentrix, and she was a senior scientist at StemCentrix. So then she
Okay.
left to start her own company, right, with her
Uh-huh.
learnings. But what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying is that the education started in the Philippines, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Her expertise is mass spectrometry. She
Uh-huh.
learned that in the Philippines.
Like,
And then she brought it to other companies. So that's what I'm saying is that we have talent. The
uh-huh.
the gap lang talaga is how do we convert that talent or ideas from the talent into businesses that can be global. So that's our goal. That's our dream,
Palagay ko,
right?
ang sekreto niyan, call Christina. Anyway, Christina, no, very, very interesting itong dinidiscuss natin. One of the highlights nung ano, we were saying is that the Philippines is the number one most exciting venture ecosystem, sabi, di ba? Sa Southeast Asia daw. And how are we able to come up with that one? Bakit nasabing tayo ang number one na in terms of sa venture ecosystem?
Part of it has to do with our basically digital commerce. That's number one, especially during COVID, right? That started to take off. People were shopping online, buying things online. The way we transact, everything is electronic. You have Gcash. Those are some of the I would say ideas that started to um, really turn into significant opportunities in the Philippines. Is how do we do it right? Whether it's the e-commerce model, finance, especially because of remittances, right? It's
Aha.
46 billion plus in
Mhm.
remittances alone that we know of.
Aha.
And that alone, from a fintech perspective, that's a pretty significant opportunity. So if you don't have to, if you could just carry cash on your phone or transact on your phone, the mobile, opportunity was also pretty significant because, in Southeast Asia and other developing countries, we had to leapfrog. Some of
Aha.
us never even received a landline, right? Everything was on the phone. Your
Aha.
communication is on the phone. The way you transact is on the phone. And I think, we have, there's a lot of creativity because that's how business is done now. Everything is mobile. Everything is mobile. And so I think we've done a pretty good job there. And there are other opportunities, right? Because how do we also, I think, from an enterprise perspective, how do these large older companies transform themselves digitally, right? They have to shift from manual to digital.
Aha.
And the other interesting data point is a lot of the data entered for AI. We have a lot of companies in the Philippines that labels the data for AI. There's
Aha.
opportunity for us to do more in the
Mhm.
area of AI,
And plus the fact
right?
that a lot of accounting firms as well, di ba? A lot of accounting firms actually they open up their offices here, pero ang processing lahat nasa Pilipinas.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to dwell more on the BPO kasi yan yung talagang growing eh. Still growing, di ba, sa Philippines, yung ating kung tawagin call centers, di ba? Mhm. Ah,
Yeah,
Hindi ba tayo
it's
delikado? Is our call center safe? Kasi with the emergence of China and other Asian countries that can actually speak no English na, 'di ba? Hindi ba delikado yung ating posisyon sa iyong
well, I
palagay?
think I think delikado kasi yung AI, right? You have chatbots now.
Oo.
You have chatbots that answer quick questions. Pag isa lang yung, pag quick yung mga questions mo, yung tinatanong mo from the company, sometimes it's very easy to answer those without talking to someone.
Mhm.
So that's where we have risk because talking to a person will be replaced with software, right?
Mhm.
That's the risk. And so one of the things that we've been thinking about on the stack side is where are there opportunities shifting from BPO into other tech opportunities
Mhm.
for our knowledge base in the Philippines because we think that there are other areas of opportunities because the BPO probably will go down because of AI and the software, but
Mhm.
then we can shift some of that talent to other areas.
Mhm.
So that's one way we can help, right? The Philippines is we have some ideas, we
Mhm.
share this with the government, and we talk about how do we start shifting investment there to make sure that
Mhm.
we are looking at the workforce and opportunities for the workforce.
And how free are you to parang design and come up with a system that will actually at the end of the day benefit ang ating ang Pilipinas kasi alam mo naman of course merong mga interest kanya-kanyang interest, di ba? Yung bang stock is like really optimistic that they are actually doing good by helping out Philippines and supporting you?
Yeah. So I'm an eternal optimist. So I'm an eternal optimist. I'm always
Uh-huh.
optimistic. And when I had my first conversation with President Macapagal Arroyo back in 2009,
Uh-huh.
what I told her is I wanted to make sure we institutionalized our relationship. Kasi sabi ko, in the past, every time mag-start kami ng project, pag bago na yung administrasyon, hindi namin alam kung saan, ano yung status ng project,
Mhm.
and it would be
Mhm.
very frustrating. So we
Uh-huh.
said we need to institutionalize the relationship kasi when we start something, we want to be able to finish it and measure
Uh-huh.
our success. So that's when
Mhm.
she recommended we should have an MOA. So that was number one, institutionalizing. And we back in 1998 or 99 we were actually appointed by President Ramos when Dato
Okay.
was still the chairman. Stack became formal members of the STCC, the Science and Technology Coordinating Council, which was an advisory group to the Philippine president, and so
Okay.
for the president and the cabinet. And so we are revisiting that right now because it was an executive order, and we want to revisit that because we really want them to hear what we have to share with regards to our ideas as it relates to talent. Kendrick is there right now in the Philippines having conversations, but sa totoo lang, yes, we have
Uh-huh.
faith, we are positive, and the thing is that if you have faith and you know it in your heart it's going to happen, it will happen. That was the entire everybody told us when we started Stack's work on startups. Everybody was saying, ay, walang startup dito. Walang ano, there's nothing to invest in here. Don't waste your time, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm going to prove to you that there are. Because
Uh-huh.
every time Filipinos leave, they can start something. They do something, right? So sabi ko, you have to change the way you think.
Uh-huh.
You cannot have limits. Don't
Mhm.
have limits, and you have to believe in everyone. Believe in your own people.
Uh-huh. Mhm. At alam mo, while you're talking, pictures are being flashed, ano? These are pictures that you actually sent. And I saw the picture of your husband and your two boys. Yan na naman, di ba?
Oo.
So how are they growing up? Kamusta naman? Bago natin pag-usapan yung anong tawag dito? Itong alchemy ba yun? Ano ba ang tawag doon?
Alchemy Ventures. So alchemy, so an
Okay.
alchemist is someone who converts lead into gold. And so I've been told by a few people, two people who worked for me used to tell me that my stories remind them of the book The Alchemist by Paulo
Okay.
Coelho, right? And if you've read the book, really the main message in the book is everything is inside. Basically, the answers are inside. The treasures inside, right? Because it's even God. We're all creators. We're all created by God, and
Mhm.
God gives each one of us the power to do things, right? There's
Mhm.
when they talk about love and light, that is the love and light that comes from God, and we all have it. We just have to tap into it. And so um, that's how we can all transform things. We tap in, we believe it, and we can turn our visions into reality. And so that's the whole idea behind Alchemy Ventures. It's a consulting firm, but it's really to help transform ideas into reality, to make
But
it
you were
real.
saying
Mhm.
converting lead
Into gold.
into
So they
gold.
used to say,
Lead
yes,
lead, as in
into gold.
lead.
Right. But it's also, another way to think about it is if you have an idea, it's just an idea. But
Uh-huh.
then converting it, you transform, right? Because
Uh-huh.
I envision the Philippines. So going back to that conversation with President Macapagal Arroyo, the one thing I did tell her was, I'm going to put the Philippines on the map. That is
Uh-huh.
my goal, that
Uh-huh.
we are going to be recognized, right? And so even though everybody was saying, no, 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 it's not going to happen, I said, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you just have to believe. But the thing is, but you also have to do the work.
Uh-huh.
Um, and that is really, I think, the whole essence of Stack. We believe, because it starts with your belief first. If you don't believe,
Uh-huh.
it's not going to happen. You
Ay,
have to have that faith.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. And so far, nasan ka na? Nasaan na ang alchemy? Because alam mo, if there's any way that yung group, my group can help you, I am going to volunteer. Considering now that I know your heart really belongs to the to the Filipino people.
Yeah.
Nasaan na
Even my
ngayon ang
kids.
asa na ngayon ang alchemy in terms of
So Alchemy is my own consulting practice. It's my own
uh,
private consulting practice, which I am currently building now. And I was working for a tech company until January, and I decided to move forward with Alchemy Ventures this year. So I'm in the process of building out my consulting practice. With
okay.
I want to be able to do things in the Philippines. I want to be
Mhm.
able to do things in the Philippines, if do strategy and execution work in the Philippines on specific programs. And so that's where I'm going to be directing my energy, part of my energy, to
Do
doing
you
some
travel
things
a
in the
lot?
Philippines.
Do you travel a
Mhm.
lot to the Philippines?
Well, I was there in October, I was there in January, and then I'll be there in November. Geeks on a Beach is
Oh.
happening in November, November
Uh-huh.
14 and 15. And so I every every year I try to host the Women in Tech breakfast, and I am going to do a special workshop this year
Uh-huh.
at Geeks on a Beach. So for your listeners, if they're interested, it's a Cebu, November 14 and 15, Geeks on a Beach.
Okay. And then, do you trace back your roots to Davao pagka ba ikaw umuuwi?
Yes. Oo.
Is Davao like a number one priority for you to see every time?
Yes, I try to. In the beginning, it was really difficult, but now I go back every time I'm there. In fact, I was there for my reunion last October. I was
Yan yung
just there.
Ateneo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In
And
in
what
yeah,
about your
Davao.
kids? What about your kids? Do they enjoy the Philippines?
Oh my gosh. So what was really interesting is I didn't, you know, so they used to know that I was so busy flying back and forth to the Philippines doing the staff work. And so when
Ah,
they were young, they said, "What is this volunteer work you're doing, Mom?" So sinamahan ko sila. In 2012, they came with me. They even sat in meetings with me so they could see, and they judged. We had the business pitch competition. Sabi ko, sige, doon kayo sa likod, you can judge the pitches. So nag-judge sila. And then they came back again in 2014. And
uh-huh.
now they really enjoy it. They even call themselves Filipino.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so they love the
every year
Philippines.
from then on, sama na ng sama.
Oh, sama ng sama, oo. And then actually, I was there in January kasi gusto magbakasyon yung panganay ko doon.
Okay.
He just graduated, but yung kanyang good friend from college at NYU is
Uh-huh.
Pinoy. So sabi niya, gusto niya, before they start working, magbakasyon muna daw sila sa Pilipinas. Sinamahan ko siya. Sinamahan ko siya. But
Okay.
October, huh? I mean, you saw there
Uh-huh.
was a picture there in Leyte. I
Uh-huh.
visited Tacloban. I have relatives in Bacolod, relatives in Pagadian, um, a lot of relatives in the Manila area. So I try to go to different places when I can.
Which
Also visited Bataan,
which leads me to a question. What was your last name before you became Laskowski?
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Okay.
Rodriguez sa Pangasinan.
Pangasinan. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meron ba siyang political blood, yung Rodriguez sa
In
Pangasinan?
Mabini, yes. So there were
Okay.
some mayors, Braganza, Mabini, Rodriguez in Mabini, mayors. There were,
Okay.
I think, local, right?
Okay. And they are from Pangasinan.
Local politicians.
Pangasinan.
Ano?
Are they from
Pangasinan. Oo.
Pangasinan? Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Now, in your part naman, dito naman sa Amerika, you actually ventured into running as a congresswoman. Am I correct? Congress ba? Assembly?
Assembly. Si
Assembly
Cristina
member.
Osmeña was Congress. I
Okay.
was Assembly. And so
Yeah.
I did not intend to run, but
Okay.
because of all of my Filipino American nonprofit community service, I
Okay.
was recruited to run
Uh-huh.
for assembly. In fact, I became active with Cristina Osmeña's campaign, and she said you should really run. You should consider running. And so uh, I do community work anyway. I've been actively engaged in community work. In fact, I was part of a group that wrote the board of supervisors in 2020 to allow certain businesses to remain open during COVID, right? In
Uh-huh.
2020, following Scott Morrow, the health officer's guidelines, kasi we did a survey. Nag-survey kami sa community in San Mateo County. And so many people, the number one concern was the financial concern. Yung mga negosyo nila were closed, yung mga hairdressers, ganon, they were suffering. And sabi namin, bakit yung mga bars are open where you can drink, right? They remain open, but yung magpa-cut ng hair, you're 6 feet apart, hindi pwede, all of that stuff. So we wrote a letter and we provided some facts to the board of supervisors. They submitted, and I actually I spoke during that meeting. They submitted our resolution to the health officer, and believe it or not, in 2020, after that, only San Mateo County was the open county for certain small businesses, and the other six in the county still remain closed. All the other businesses remain closed. So I, you know, for me, my community, whether it's the Philippines or here, if I can help, I'll help.
Uh-huh. And do you have plans of pursuing your political career here
In the States.
in the US? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, well, I put my name on the ballot this year too, but I'm gonna wait. I have to do. There are certain things. I have a calling right now. There's certain things I need to do with the Philippines. I think that's more of my priority, and
Okay.
then we can revisit politics. But I really need. I want to finish certain things that we started because I think there's so much opportunity for the Philippines. There's still so
Yeah.
much opportunity.
Uh-huh. And God bless you for saying that, 'di ba? Nakakatuwa yung mga sinasabi mo, no? Dahil sa bibihira akong nakakausap na ang passion talaga itulungan ang Pilipinas at ang mga Pilipino. And again, I salute you, 'di ba?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Ngayon, other than all of those things that you actually did, ikaw ba ay meron pa ring involvement uh, in terms of
Yes.
community service and other things that you do? Can you share that as well to
Yes.
us?
Sure. So one other passion project involvement is the Hinabi project, which is
Okay.
focused on awareness and preservation of Philippine textiles, the art of Philippine textiles.
Uh-huh.
So one of the creative director, Anthony Lagarda, in 2014, again because of my staff work, asked if I could help the group with a number of their projects. He introduced me to the Hinabi project, and I was really taken kasi there were so many things now I didn't even know about our textiles and our communities. Marami
Uh-huh.
akong natuto. And I
Uh-huh.
said, ay nako, if there's a way to preserve and educate and keep this going, sabi ko, sige, I'll help in ways that I can and so I helped as a program manager, and I was focused on strategic partnerships. So ako nagsusulat ng mga MOA, ako nagsusulat ng mga imbitasyon for the communities to come here to the States to present. So we actually had 3 exhibits. The first exhibit was the first Philippine education exhibit at the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco. So we did an exhibit on piña. And I was
Okay.
very lucky to be introduced to Patis Tesoro. She was able to be the docent at the Asian Art Museum to talk about piña and how piña is made and
Uh-huh.
etc. And then the second one was Weaving Peace and Dreams, which showcased textiles from Mindanao, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Marawi. Salika, actually, we had one of our weavers who was from Marawi. Uh, at the time, there was a lot of conflict going on, but she was able to come with her husband. We also had the Mandaya from Davao come. It was their first time to show their textiles and even their music, etc., outside of the Philippines here in San Francisco. It was very well received, and the one of our objectives outside of educating and preserving the textiles is encouraging the communities to continue to do what they're doing. So, for example, the Mandaya and even Salika in Marawi, they were not going to continue to work on textiles, but you have to understand the master artisans are dying. Mga 100 years old na yung mga master artisans or
Uh-huh.
90, yan yung mga
Mm-hmm.
anak, they don't,
Uh-huh.
they, economically, it's been very difficult for them to earn a living wage with this. So that's where we came in here on the US side is sharing more about the Philippine textiles and also working with community groups in the Philippines in terms of how do we commercialize some of the textiles. So, for example, the Hinabi project, we signed an MOA with PTRI, Philippine Textile Research Institute, which is under the DOST, the Department of Science and Technology. There was a signing of the MOA 3 weeks ago. There was a fashion show to show some of the textiles that are the innovations in textiles now, the Philippines, even the shoes, yung sneakers, that's
Uh-huh.
Philippine textiles now that they're making. So those are some of the things that we've partnered with them to do, because our creative director did a whole line using the PTRI fabrics, right? The new textiles that they're helping to develop, right, through the Philippine Textile Research Institute. So I'm on the board. I help with the memo of agreements and reviewing and in drafting those, and also strategic partnerships. So I explore opportunities here for us to partner with different groups here to come up with a collaboration of how we can incorporate Philippine textiles into something unique. And so that's something that I'm helping the group with here
Wow.
to help
Wow.
preserve that, to help sustain, kasi we want to sustain.
Alam mo, I
Mhm.
already saluted you eh. And I will again salute you for that, di ba? Kasi talagang it is a dying industry, di ba? But yung parang cultural heritage eh, which
Mhm.
has to be developed. And to be honest with you, it is something that I am actually trying to promote as well dito, di ba? Being a part of the Filipino community of Santa Clara County, I am
Mhm.
one of the board of trustee. I think my group has to work with you. Even the foundation that I've set up, I think it is something that I've set up a foundation called Global Maharlika, di ba? And really, that is the very essence, ano? And buti pala na-interview kita at nalaman ko kung ano pa yung iba't ibang mga istorya nitong si Miss Christina Laskowski. Anyway, now that you have all of these things under your belt, diba? The alchemy, you have stock, you have hinabi. Is there anything that actually interests you? And is there anything that you want to uh, get the attention of the Filipino community? So I'll give you the floor, Christina.
Oh, so with the Filipino community, like a message.
Yeah,
Uh,
message. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, my whole thing is, again, just try to keep yourself, educated and aware of things that interest you. Follow your heart, right? Follow your heart. Continue to be passionate, because there are ways. If you can imagine it, it probably can become real. Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Keep a positive mindset and look for groups like Stack and other groups in the Philippines that might want to help, especially for those entrepreneurs or those who have entrepreneurial ideas.
Uh-huh.
Because I think there are so many opportunities, and I have a different mindset, right? I have an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset, that there's room for everyone and there's
Mhm.
room for opportunities, and there are people who will help you. So if you have an idea, don't think that, oh, no one's there. Met on. There are people there that want to help. And what's really great now is that I've seen how the Philippines has evolved, even in the ecosystem. When we did our work, we wanted to find the hidden gems, the ones who, maybe didn't graduate from the top schools, who maybe didn't even go, finish college, but had great ideas. We're seeing
Uh-huh.
more and more of that. We have success
Uh-huh.
stories like that. One of our I just have to say, one of our startups, he raised some money. He didn't win our competition, but he raised some money. He did his startup. It failed. He did a second startup, a chatbot. It worked. He sold it, made some money. He bought his mama a house. Yan ang dream niya, was to buy his mama a house, right? And
Uh-huh.
to me, that's like one of the best stories. And then now he's got multiple businesses, but he didn't give up. Sabi niya,
Uh-huh.
he even told me, sabi niya, I was so naive. I didn't know too much with my first, ganun. But sige pa rin ang sige. And, he continued down that path. And now he's doing well. And he's not the only one. There are other stories like that, na, are not in the press,
Mhm.
etc. It doesn't have to be big, but
Oh,
they
mhm,
tried and they
mhm.
were able to make their dream come true.
Yan, nako, ang sarap pakinggan, Christina. Well, anyway, Christina, alam ko, alam niyo mga kababayan, hindi po kami magkakilala ni Christina, no? But I just message her on Messenger, on Facebook. Di ba? Is that something
Mhm.
our kababayan can do in the event? Meron akong idea eh. Napakinggan ko si Christina. Can I reach out to her? Can you be reach out sa Messenger pa rin? Para sa ating mga kababayan who would
Yeah,
like to
Christina R.
uh-huh.
Christina R. Laskowski on Messenger. And then Christina at stacksv.org is my email if you want to reach out on Stack. But I
Uh-huh.
respond. I respond to
And
inbounds.
I
Mhm.
ano sabihin ko? At there's no doubt that you respond. 'Di ba? And alam po
Oh,
ninyo, itong si Christina is a very very busy person and we are really lucky to have her because I've been trying to arrange. It's just that napakarami nitong mga showbiz appearance eh. Well, but luckily and finally we were able to do this interview. But I think we have to do a part two for this one because there's still a lot of things to discuss, especially for the opportunities that you are going to provide for the Filipino people. Pwede ba, Christina?
yes, I'd be happy to.
Okay. And then,
Mm-mm.
saan ang office ng staff in the event na yung mga nandito sa Amerika napakinggan, napanood itong ating Facebook o YouTube? Saan ba ang office ng staff?
Well, it's a virtual office, but we're in the San Francisco Bay Area. We
Okay?
meet sometimes we meet in San Francisco at the consulate,
Okay?
447 Sutter Street. There's a co-working space, Dynamico, that's there. We
Okay.
also have Centro, the Philippine Cultural Center on Mission Street.
Mhm.
So there's places to meet, but we're all here. We're all based here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Mhm.
Okay. Then next time I will invite you to do your meeting at our own location dito sa Santa Clara County. We have the Filipino community of Santa Clara County. We have our own office building there. So we will invite you there as well. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes, that would
Anyway,
be fun.
overtime na rin tayo. Thank you for
Okay.
the time that you've spent with us. And any final thoughts or final greetings, Christina?
Oh, just want to say to everyone, thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to speak. And, everybody stay healthy, stay well, stay positive.
Okay, nako, maraming salamat. Yan po si Miss Christina Lauskowski. Siya po ay co-chair ng staff, tapos founder ng Alchemy Ventures. And in the event that you would like to communicate with her and continue the conversation, she is just a text message away sa kanyang messenger. Ano po? And again, finally, Christina, what's your email again? If it's sa stock sila makikipag-communicate?
Christina, CHRISTINA at stacksv.org. Christina
Yun.
at stacksv.org.
Ayun, okay. At nako, boundary na po ang Radyo Agila sa Amerika. At syempre pa, nagpapasalamat tayo sa ating mga umaalalay, ano? Yan si Jonas Pascual, yung ating tech guy na nagbibigay ng ating link sa tuwing tayo ay ume-ere dito po sa ating himpilang Radyo Agila 1062 at of course sa Facebook page at sa ating YouTube channel. Ako po si Don Orozco mula po rito sa Silicon Valley sa California. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.